Well, I grew up like a couple of hours north of Sydney in a place called the Central Coast, which is like very beachy and it's very nice. It's a nice place to grow up. And then when I was a little bit older, we moved to Sydney and yeah, did most of my schooling and everything in Sydney, which is also a nice place to grow up. But I loved sport and probably a little bit too much, and would often had lots of horrible injuries and broke lots of bones. And it was kind of, there was a certain point at which probably in high school, where I sort of thought, this is not gonna happen. So that was really when I started to focus a bit more on music and the arts. And I think at some level I knew it wasn't very good for me, like not just physically, but that the competition thing was not always bringing out the best, bringing out the best in me. And I felt like with music, it's never been a part of it. It's only ever been about having an idea in your head and the pleasure of like making that a thing, making that a real thing. I can't be what you want me to. So my grandfather was a drummer and my grandmother a singer. And so I was totally surrounded by music, so it was always a big part, and we always sang in the house and stuff. And when I was about 9, I inherited my grandfather's drum kit, and I was obsessed with, you know, wanting to learn the drums. We'd done some piano and we'd sort of been forced into piano lessons, but I just wanted to play the drums. But when I was about probably like 14 or 15, that was when I started playing with a guitar and discovered songwriting. And I did have at home, I saved up my money. I was working at a cinema and I saved up the $700 or whatever it was to buy a 4-track recorder with the cassette tapes and everything. So that was probably when I was 16 or 17, was writing and recording songs. And then when I finished school, I had saved up a bunch of money, which I took to a recording studio here in Sydney and recorded a few songs like properly. I'd been into synthesizers, but that was kind of how I got into this idea of doing more electronic music. It was kind of a lot about, well, this is something I can hear it and then I can make it sort of on my own. So that was kind of how the Thief project started.
Closer, closer, closer.
I must have been about 7 or 8, and there's an Australian band called Icehouse. You should check it out. There's a song called Electric Blue, which was a big pop song. You know, the first time I heard a song and I got completely obsessed with it and needed to hear it again. And that was at a time where you couldn't log on to SoundCloud or whatever. If you wanted to hear it again and again, you had to videotape it or like tape it off the radio. So that was really my first thing of being like, oh my God, I need to hear this thing again right now. That's what sticks in my head now when I make pop songs now. It's like I want to do that, create that sort of, you know, feeling in someone that I had so like viscerally as a 7-year-old, that thing of like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. I got to hear this again right now. Sometimes, but generally the way I approach myself is I look for sounds that are maybe a bit different or a bit interesting, and then my brain will try and take that thing and find where the pop song is in it, and then go from there.
She didn't want to be seen, but she wouldn't let go.
working as a trio. I've got a drummer and a bass player playing with me, and everything, the whole concept was kind of built around creating something that felt like a live music experience, because it is, but also something that was like small enough to easily take around and wasn't going to be too expensive to take overseas.
But I'm just a broken boy.
Well, Broken Boy, that's a song that I wrote about the zombie apocalypse. It's like a love story set in a zombie apocalypse, which is an unusual place to come at writing a song about, but for some reason I just had this picture of this zombie that was in love with a girl, and couldn't stop himself from eating her brains. It's written in an open enough way that you don't need to see the zombie romance in it if you don't want to, you know.
Yeah, this is over, and I'm too tired of watching you fuck me over.
Well, Closer is a song about, yeah, it's very generally, I think a lot of people interpret it as like a breakup song or something, and that's definitely one way to read it, but I always think of it as a much broader thing, you know. You could be, there's a lot of things you could be tired of fucking you over, so I like to think about it more like something that letting those things that are outside of your control kind of ruin your life, when really you can't sweat the stuff that's outside your control. You gotta just focus on what you can do and, yeah, be proactive.
Closer.